Coming up on episode 144 of Anarcho Agenda, I talk about the rapture. Is there a second coming of Jesus coming? Or is there a better way to heal the world rather than wait for someone else to do it? This podcast is covered by the BIPCOT no government license. This allows for use and reuse by anyone except governments and or government agents. Learn more at bipcot.org. The nature of the human condition is that we want escape. Escape from our boring lives, or escape from an anxious life, or sometimes just escape into another world. This is episode 144 of Anarcho Agenda. I'm Riley Blake. I don't know about you, but I've seen on my social media feeds from YouTube to X to wherever this talk of some Christians embracing the rapture. The rapture, of all things, is an idea stemming from the 1840s. Now, I'm not going to get into the history of it, but I grew up in a religion that didn't talk about the rapture. It was this false doctrine purportedly believed by evangelical Christians. It doesn't show up in Catholicism, it shows up in evangelical Christianity, but not in Mormonism. Now, when I first heard of the word rapture, I don't recall what my mind went to. Rapture is an emotion, extreme ecstasy. Maybe that's what Christians think about when they say rapture. We're going to go through the rapture, this extreme ecstasy of being taken out of the world and flying to heaven while the rest of you poor souls are left behind to deal with the consequences of an evil world. To me, that concept is the grossest concept I can think of for a God to presume that he has the right to take supposedly good people out of the world to not test them for the last days. If these truly are the last days, why do evangelical Christians long for a world that they're taken out of? That their faith will be tested? That they're going to experience trials and tribulations that no one in the history of humanity has ever experienced? Why do they long for the escape into another world where they're the redeemed ones, where they're the ones who are saved, where they're the ones who get to look down the world and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry you're not here with me. It's too bad. You must have been too evil. I'm so sorry you're so evil, but there's at least hope for you." To me, if there were a real God out there, and if Jesus were really coming back, which I'm not sure if Jesus is coming back, I wish I could believe that, but I'm not 100% sure, and that's fine. But if I were to believe in a loving God that wanted his children, or her children, to learn the most out of life, I would expect this loving God, who is supposed to come back one day, to not snatch his children or their children up from the earth and say, "Oh, too bad for the poor souls down there. They're just too evil." I would expect that loving God to know where their children stand when times are tough. When you're facing things you've never faced before. When you are dealing with circumstances beyond your control, where life feels so out of control you don't know what to do. And so you do the best you can, trying to serve your neighbor, trying to feed them, trying to do whatever it takes to help them feel seen, heard, valued, instead of demonized, instead of pitied. But no. The evangelical Christian world wants rapture so they can appear to be virtuous, when in reality, they're just there to pity you, demonize you, and demand that you follow their ideology because you're not good enough. You're never enough. God never sees you as enough. Now, I'm not saying that every Christian follows the pre-trib rapture concept. In fact, that's a very strange concept to me, the pre-trib rapture. Or post-trib rapture, or whatever. I don't believe in rapture, period. But what I will say about this whole rapture ideology is I didn't grow up with it. I had no idea what these people were talking about. To me, it was just apostate doctrine, evil doctrines of a church that didn't claim to have God's one true gospel, one true authority, a prophet to lead and guide them. Today, I don't believe that. I don't believe there will be a rapture. I don't believe there is escape. But we do the best we can to try and escape this world because it terrifies us, because it's difficult, because it's challenging. And with social media bringing us all closer together, and we see a constant barrage of people we despise, of ideas that we despise, of ideologies that we despise, constantly in our minds, driving a wedge between humanity, we want to escape. We don't want to go across the street to our neighbor or downtown to our favorite spot, to reach across the aisle and talk to someone with whom we disagree, to have a provocative discussion about topics that we disagree about in order to understand each other. We don't want that. We don't want to associate with those people. For example, there are people on the left who have disassociated themselves from their family because they voted for a dictator. Their words, not mine. I did not disassociate myself from people who voted for Biden or Kamala in the last election. Nor would I. However, I do not like the idea of being tied to your government, so we have to fight over the ring of power every single time. I want separation from you. I don't want to be forced to obey your rules at gunpoint. And so escape feels like it would be the best path forward. A second coming of Jesus to restore the balance to humanity and bring 1,000 years of peace, just so we can get some relief from the existential dread that is our current society. And yet, there is no escape. There's only leading into the experience of being human. I may disagree with a trans person, but you know what? They have as much right to be a trans person as I do being a heterosexual white male. My concern, however, doesn't stem from them being a trans person. My concern stems from them demanding that I cater to their needs. As a blind person, I believe in an accessible world. I would love to live in a world where I can access printed material with ease through technology, or even having something in Braille. But I'm also aware that I do not have the right to force anybody to cater to my needs. I can't force anyone to provide things for me. So I do my best to develop the skills to navigate living in a world of sighted people. People who aren't going to cater to me. People who are not going to force their will on me as long as I don't force my will on them. That's the best kind of world. A world I can't escape from. A world where I must examine how I show up. And you know, I don't show up perfectly. And I don't think you do either. So we do the best we can. And while I may not believe in a second coming of a Jesus character to come save humanity, I do believe that I have the right and the ability to show up differently. Unfortunately, I'm not very good at it. I wish I was better. And I'm guessing you do too. In this digital age, your information is everywhere on the internet, ready to be used by bad actors. From your social security number to where you live, even your bank details may be out there. It is purely the mere number of others in the same camp that has protected the majority. For nearly 2 decades, ThinkPenguin.com has been developing solutions to protect your privacy. Take back your privacy by going to ThinkPenguin.com and buying Linux-based hardware and software to get back some resemblance of your digital privacy. That's ThinkPenguin.com. The Trump administration got themselves into a bit of a pickle talking about Tylenol and pregnancy and, of course, autism. This is a subject I don't know much about. I'll be honest. I really don't know much about it. But I do know that putting a drug like Tylenol consistently in your body can affect you. I've never been pregnant. I'm a male. I don't think I can get pregnant. I don't think if I were to imagine on myself a woman, I'd be able to get pregnant. So I can't empathize with a pregnant woman when it comes to having a child and wanting painkillers just to handle the pain. But I do believe that some drugs can affect the way a child may develop. I don't think autism is caused by Tylenol, and I'm not sure if autism is caused by an extensive vaccine schedule. Maybe it's caused by nothing, maybe it's caused by many environmental factors, or maybe we've just changed the diagnostic criteria. But it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, they're still people. And treating someone who has autism differently because they have autism is just an absurd concept to me. I grew up being blind. And, if someone treated me like I could see all the time, that would be a different experience altogether. It would be really tough. Because obviously I can't see. But I can be pushed to being more independent and grow and cause myself to rewrite the stories in my own mind, no matter how difficult it is. And so here we are being told what to believe by people in government. And yet, on the left, they want to fight back so hard against it that their narrative is different. And all this insane arguing on the internet and social media and in the real world isn't going to get us anywhere. I wish I knew what to tell you. Except reach out. Connect with someone you disagree with. That's the best we can do for this time. This concludes episode 144 of Anarcho Agenda. I'm Riley Blake. If you like my content, support me on Patreon at patreon.com/crblake86. That's patreon.com/crblake86. Do not forget to check out my advertiser, thinkpenguin.com. That's thinkpenguin.com. Thank you very much for listening. Catch you next episode. Worms.